Welcome to Above the Mark, where we take you from the soil to the office and everywhere in between.
We're your hosts, Jack and Troy, bringing you real conversations on farm leadership, rural life, and the big issues shaping modern agriculture.
Whether you're knee-deep in the field or just ag curious, there's something here for you.
So let's dig in and aim a little higher.
Okay, well, we did it. We're here.
Let's do this.
We are starting. Welcome to the first episode of Above the Mark.
I'm super excited.
We are your hosts. I am Troy Grimm. I'm a lead agronomy advisor here at Mercer Landmark.
And I'm Jackie Sheridan, lead grain marketing advisor here at Mercer.
So we've been talking about this for a while, right? And we finally decided to jump into it, right? So we are learning as we go. We are not professional podcasters, but
we will be at some point.
We are going to be the best podcast in the world, I think. Self-proclaimed. But yeah, today we're just going to have a podcast on who we are, kind of who Mercer is, what we look forward, as we look forward, what we're going to do in this podcast. And we got a bunch of really exciting guests lined up, I think.
We do.
And some good topics, and I think it's going to be good. Kind of how, moving forward, how it's going to be, we're going to have one podcast a month, roughly, and try to keep you guys up to date. We'll talk a little bit on the end, at the end of this, on how you can follow us and keep track of everything. So, yeah, I think it'll be good. We're gonna give it a go.
Yeah, we're scheduled out for a year, so we're gonna have fun with this.
Fun. Yep. So, kind of just a background of who we are and what we're doing. Like I said, I'm a lead agronomy advisor here at Mercer. I work out of the Laddie facility, but travel around quite a bit, as does Jackie. We have multiple business units at Mercer Landmark. I'm in agronomy. Jackie's in grain. She's a lead grain advisor, right? So that right?
Yep.
I live in the north, further north than Laddie, if you're familiar with our area. I have a beautiful wife and 3 kids, all under the age of 5. So a half hour of recording this podcast is going to be about the calmest part of my day, I think.
Your wife is a saint, 3 kids under 5.
And she married me.
I gotta love that.
So that's a little bit about me. I've been in agriculture for about 10 years now. I got a lot of learning yet to do. So
okay. Well, as Troy said, I'm Jackie Sheridan. I'm actually from the southern part of our locations, from Fort Recovery. I've been in ag now for 20 years. I started out as a grain feed admin at what is now our St. Anthony location. So it's nice to see that to come full circle again, and we're all back together. I've been doing grain marketing for about 18 years. So our team, we have 5 of us on our team here at Mercer. Personally, let's see, I've been married. Well, I never get this right. I've been married since 1992. So, and
I've been alive since 1995.
This is bad. I have 4 kids. They live all around the world. We have 1 new grandbaby. So this is a new part of our life, and I'm excited about that.
Well, if you get any pointers, I'm willing to take. Maybe we should do a parenting episode.
There we go. There we go.
You can teach me. Yeah. So I guess one thing that I wanted to hit on was, kind of what inspired us. We've been talking about it for a while. We tried different ways, right, of having a good connection with our growers. Obviously, our advisor team, whether it be grain, propane, feed, agronomy, whatever it is, those people kind of house that relationship with our customers. But how do we reach the general public? How do we reach our customers more frequently and talk about things that maybe they're not talking about on a daily basis? I think is kind of a lot of what we decided we want this podcast to be. We talk every day with growers on how to grow soybeans, how to market your corn, what feed rations to use, and what the propane fuel market's doing. But what we're going to do in here, I think, is going to dig into kind of above that mark.
Above that mark.
Yep. So we're going to talk about different things as far as, what we're going to have a podcast on our 4 pillars that we base our core business off of and what we stand for and how the farmer can utilize that on his operation. The challenges that we're going with now, not just in fertilizer prices or grain markets, but, as farms scale and we have employees, and how do we handle that conflict, and how do we look at that relationship between our employees and the people that we're partnered with. There's all sorts of things we're going to do, right? So we have some interns this summer. We are going to bring some of them on, look at their experience. We're going to look at grain bin safety stuff when it comes to the safety time of the year, and just kind of give you guys insights on what we're doing that maybe you don't know about. We're really involved with FFA. How do we do that? What are we doing? Yeah.
So basically, we're going to take this from a holistic approach and just have fun with it, right? We don't want to sit and talk to everybody 20, 30 minutes about how to grow soybeans.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. They know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say that I'll never be in there. If we definitely want to bring some new things to the table that maybe is a little different. We might talk about some biologicals and things, new practices that are coming about. But yeah, we're going to hit all the different aspects of agriculture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, I mean, and here at Mercer, we have 4 different business units. Obviously, I'm in grain, and we have 13 different grain facilities. That includes rail, truck houses, even our feed processors. We also do direct ship almost to just about every local processor in the area. I think that's probably something a lot of our growers don't know.
Yep.
That is something that we can do for them. Then we have in our feed locations, which is Heartland Feed Services.
Yep.
That is a joint venture. We have our MPS facility, which is strictly poultry. And we do about 10,000 tons a week down there. We're down a little bit just because of the bird flu, but we are starting to repopulate, so that's getting better.
I think to put that into perspective, it comes out to about 120 loads of feed a day. And one thing that kind of makes you think, well, that's a lot, right? But also for 120 loads that are coming out, we got to bring in that much too, right?
That's right.
So that's where your side comes in, and helping with that,
Yeah.
right?
So just at that facility alone, when we're, right at about max capacity where we were before bird flu, we need 300,000 bushels of corn a week down there. So it's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But that makes our job fun.
Yeah.
And exciting,
Yep.
It's never a dull moment. And then we have our Salina facility, which is swine only, and we do about 4,300 tons a week there. We will be slowly increasing over the next several months, and we'll get up to about 5,000 tons a week. Then we have St. Anthony, which is our beef, dairy, cattle feed. They do about 1,000 tons a week out of there. And then we also have our Minster and our St. Henry facility. Those are bagged feed. So the nice thing about these locations that I think a lot of people don't know is we specialize in show feeds. The show feeds that we have down there are, let me think about this. We've got Linders, we have Thompson's, Purina, Kalmbach, Sunglow. Okay. And they all, they'll service all of your fair needs out of there.
Yeah. And I will say too, just a kind of a plug on this, you'll hear us talk about the Agro Expo coming up in September. It's a big event we do, 2-day event, grower day, and then a general public day for the community, kind of a community outreach thing. If you are interested in the show feed, we are going to do a breakout session this year on our show feed. We haven't really pushed that in the past, so we're going to have a breakout session on that specifically. So
that'd be really nice. I didn't know that was coming.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. I guess, so we talked about what our titles are, right? So what, if someone were to ask you, you're at, I don't know, a concert or somewhere, and someone says, what do you do? And you tell them your job title, what's your 30 seconds of what you're actually, what your role is? Well, how do you spend your days in agriculture within Mercer Landmark helping producers?
I honestly tell people I have the greatest job in the world. Because
you get to be a podcast host with me.
That's exactly what it is right there. I get to harass men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell them what to do on a daily.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. Every day is different because we work with so many different growers. And so our goal is to help them focus on that profit per acre, right? Obviously, we want the grain to come to us. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is our job is to help them, again, focus on that profit per acre. So if that means that you're calling me to get advice and I'm telling you, hey, your best option right now is to go to a competitor, I'm going to tell you that. Because if I'm giving you the wrong information, why are you going to continue to do business with us?
Yep.
So I think that's something it's a little bit different the approach that we take here, because it's more customer focused as opposed to company focused.
Yep. Yeah. So kind of to add on that, I said something earlier about interns. We just started working with our interns and getting them in. We have 7 interns this year from 6 different colleges, which is crazy. I think that's pretty cool. But one thing that I had said, they'd ask the question of, what do you want to help the interns get out of their experience? And it's a short window that we have the interns. But one thing that I said was I want them to see, obviously they're going to see how well we can, cover acres and how much fertilizer we move and so on and so on. Same on the grain side. But what I want them to see is how much goes into the backside of what we do to make sure that the experience that the customer gets is as top notch as possible, right?
Yes.
We talk a lot about, and I think you'll probably hear us talk about it in another podcast. We'll have Mark Roth on, but to talk about the differentiated approach that we take and how we really want to make sure that we are in that differentiated category. And that comes down to the experience that a grower has. We want to make sure that every time they interact with somebody at Mercer Landmark, whether that be your team or our team as a whole, that they have that heightened experience where they leave there feeling well, right?
A raving fan?
Yeah, raving fan. Yeah. I saw a quote the other day that said, and I'm probably going to butcher this, that a good salesperson sells qualities of a product. They sell the add-ons of a product and what the product is. A great salesman sells outcomes, right? What's the product going to do for you? It's going to give you this many bushel. It's going to, heighten your selling price, whatever it may be. The best salesman or the best sales team sells feelings, emotions, experiences. And I think that's what we do here. And I personally put a lot of faith in that and wear that a lot. I think that that's something that we can show through this podcast is kind of a behind the scenes look of how we're doing that and how we're continuing to evolve to make that better.
Do you think that's something that sets us apart in the fact that we do focus on the customers? We want them to be a raving fan. We want to build those relationships. We want to be that business partner with our growers.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that probably anybody that's selling a service or a product wants their customer to have a good experience. But I don't think that it's common practice everywhere for these retailers, co-ops, whatever your business is, air conditioning, whatever it is, to really put as much time as we do into how do we build that experience.
Right.
I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about what we're going to do a year from now to make sure that experience is good. And looking at the really small little details to make sure that we have that experience. I mean, we're sitting at our Laddie facility right now. That's, to my knowledge, one of the best facilities in the state, at least, and I'm probably biased on that. But we're definitely, we built this whole place with the customer in mind, right?
Yes.
We didn't build it for us. Although we have nice offices and a nice conference room and everything else, we built it with the customer in mind. And that says a lot about how we're planning ahead for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and just looking for the growth that'll be coming ahead, which again, we'll talk about that, I'm sure in one of the future podcasts, but I appreciate the fact that being able to, we have an entire culture from senior leadership all the way down that everybody's passionate about making sure the customer has the right experience. And I think, we've talked about it, but we've got 4 different business units, right? Grain, agronomy, feed, energy. And everybody tries to do something a little bit different. One of the things, and this may sound simple, but a lot of our competitors don't have this. But when the bird flu hit, right?
Yep.
We didn't need all of this corn that we had contracted, right? Because production is down. What do we do? So we were able to work with each individual producer and just, send them maybe to one of our facilities. Maybe some of them came here to Laddie for the rail or to, one of our other feed mills or even a competitor to an ethanol facility. We try to make that as seamless as possible for our customers.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think we probably don't talk about that enough. And that's the hopes of, what we get out of this. And we talk a lot about a customer experience, right? And as we talk about this podcast and kind of give people an intro to what it's going to be, we've talked a lot about farmers and customers, right?
Yep.
So in your mind, is that who this podcast is for? Or is there more to it? Who is this podcast for?
I hope it ends up being for anybody who wants to learn something about agriculture, right? I mean, whether you're an ag teacher, whether, you're 15 years old and you think maybe you want to take over the farm someday, or maybe you're just a business guy or an accounting person who's looking for something different, because we have all of that within the co-op, right? I mean, you want to be an accountant? Hey, we have those positions. I mean, it's not all about sales or,
Right. I think the other part of it too is there's so much going on around agriculture all the time in the news, in your communities. You might see a sprayer running down the road. You might see a truck that says Mercer on it. You might, whatever it may be, and you're wondering, what are they doing? Who are they? you drive by a facility like this and think, wow, that's huge. What in the world are they doing?
Yes.
And I think it's for those people too, right? We have our Agro Expo in September. And like I said, we have a customer day, and then we have a community outreach day. And that day is we want the community to come in so we can interact with them and show them what we're doing. We're not the people that you think that's out just spraying fields and we don't care what's going on around us. We want that interaction with the customer, right? So, or with the community.
Right.
Sorry. And I think that's who it's for. It's for anybody, really. And
so we can build the relationship with the neighbors, right?
We need to.
Yes.
Right. For us, for our growers, we want that to be a fluid relationship. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to feed the world.
Yes.
And the world is big, right? And people are wanting to know where their food comes from and how that works. And so
now more than ever,
it's a huge topic.
Yes.
So I think that it's for everybody, right? So if you're looking forward, we talked about some different segments. What segment do you think, or what topic do you think that we're going to cover that maybe you're the most excited about, or that people listening should be excited about and look forward to?
I think we have several lined up that, I think will be really, really fun and interesting. I think it will be great. There's a couple of different ones off the top of my head. One, I think it'd be great to hear the interns, right?
Yeah.
What is their experience? What are they looking for? What is it they want?
Well, they're the future, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like what does this mean for them? What does it look like going ahead? We've talked about doing one around the fairs. And, what does that mean? I mean, the fair itself, you start with junior fair with your little kids and you go through 4-H and then all the way up to the state fair. But how does your co-op and your community stay involved with that, from our employees and our kids?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of different things that are coming down the road. Which ones are you looking forward to?
I think, we're talking about, I said something about our 4 pillars earlier, and we'll get into that in a later episode, but kind of what we base our business on. So just without giving away the whole thing, right? So we have one pillar is innovate, right? So how do we be innovative and how do we continue to grow those ideas? And you say you're in a meeting and someone says, well, I got a dumb question or a silly question. Well, really, that's not the case here. I feel like I've worked a few different places in my career. And one thing I've learned here is that everybody has a voice. And if you just have to say it, though, right?
Absolutely.
And we're open to that stuff because there's always a better way. And we're never, ever comfortable sitting where we're at. We always want to continue to do better. And I think that that episode excites me because we're going to be able to talk through how that looks on our end, but also how does it also align with what our growers and just the general public, how these are things that you can look at as a business, as a stay-at-home mom, as anything. How do we continue to be better as people and making our environments better in the community?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because I think one of the things that we consistently talk about is innovative doesn't necessarily mean a brand new idea. It's just something that's new to you, right? You're not necessarily reinventing the wheel on everything, but maybe it's new to you. You've never tried it before.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you get really excited about in agriculture that maybe, obviously we get excited about everything. It's our job. You said you got the best job in the world.
I do.
But what is one thing that you really had to nerd out about when it comes to agriculture?
I do grain marketing and I love it because one, it is never the same thing every day. I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never had the same day twice.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. There's always something going on. It's incredible just over the last 20 years, what affects the market, because what changed things 10 years ago doesn't change things today. And what changes the markets today didn't exist 10 years ago. So that's a lot of fun to me. And then, when you're talking to your growers and you get to know them, and you're helping them build these, their marketing plans, you get to know who they are, their families are. And then at the end, the reward is when they come back and they say to you, thank you. You helped me accomplish this, or you helped me get to here.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So if you're listening to this and you haven't told your grain marketing person thank you lately,
it's a great idea.
They like it. Yeah. Kind of to add on to that, one thing that I kind of get excited about, and kind of in the same thing, what you're talking, is the market access that we bring. As the companies that build, or sell or whatever, have chemicals or fertilizer, whatever it may be, get bigger and bigger. It's harder for the producer to communicate with them directly, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, we're sometimes a middleman in that. And I think of our job as we are here to bring you market access. And that's something that's really exciting and rewarding to me because we're doing a lot of work on the back end to make sure that you have the best experience, not only with us, but with dozens of suppliers in the back end that are wanting to be on your farm. And we kind of work as a filter sometimes to make sure that when we do bring them to the farm or we do have that opportunity, that it's what we see to be the best opportunity for you. And so we're an extension of your operation at that point. And I take a lot of pride in that. I think our team does as a whole. And Mercer Landmark is a co-op, so we are farmer owned.
Yes.
So we take a lot of pride in that too. You know, we're not just a business that's doing our own thing. We want feedback from the growers. We need feedback from the growers to continue to bring that market access. So,
Do you think, like, okay, so like you mentioned, being the middleman almost, right?
Yeah.
So today's world, technology's everywhere. I mean, people have information at their fingertips in 2.2 seconds. Yeah. Do you find that it's easier to focus on this is what's important in taking that information to your grower, or to help filter out the noise, basically? I mean, because I'm sure you have a lot of those conversations.
Do I find it easy?
Yes.
No.
I mean, harder?
There's a lot of stuff. And the hard part with the technology side of it is people do have access to it. So they have formed their ideas before, and we're forming our ideas. And sometimes they don't relate. And that's why communication is such a strong part of what we do, because a grower might see something that we're not aware of. And we want to know that because then we can investigate into it. What helps us is with our scalability or our size, we're able to look at it from many different angles. And what you might hear about and see, maybe I want to look into this. We might have customers that already tried it 2 hours south of here. So we're able to take that information. Now we know that, you know, your ground or your farm is different than that farm, but we can have at least a baseline to start off of. As well as you guys on the marketing side, you're looking at things all over the world.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, you know, even me in my little area that I'm in, I get very sheltered as to what's going on in the world.
We call that backyarditis.
Backyarditis.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of information, right? But we have a good team here that's able to do that. One thing that I like about what we have is we have people that specialize in so many different things. We have a sustainability agronomist, right? So Michael Watercutter, and I just learned the other day he's the only one in the state that does that. That's his only thing.
And he's fabulous at what he does.
Yeah, well, yeah. So he had said that he won an award for top, agronomist in that field, and then I learned he was the only one. So I about that, but he's great, and
Yes.
and we take a lot of pride in the fact that we're the ones that have that to offer to the grower.
Yes.
Yeah.
And something else I think, we recognize is, while the advisor, the salesman, I mean, we call them advisors, is the person that a lot of the growers are talking one-on-one with. It is the team. You've mentioned that multiple times, right? Whether it's, we have the whole team approach, whether it's your operations team, whether it's your admins, it takes all of us to make that experience the right one for the grower.
As I tell my 5-year-old, teamwork makes the dream work.
There you go.
Sometimes though, with a 5-year-old, teamwork isn't always the greatest. But yeah, and I think that's what this podcast is, right?
Yeah.
So we are trying to be that face, that voice that you guys can count on to bring you guys updated stuff. Like I said, we're gonna do this monthly. But if there's a hot topic that pops up, something crazy happens in the market, we might throw another one in there just to keep everybody up to date, right?
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that we are able to bring you guys stuff that maybe you can't just look up and find and understand that easy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so with that being said, we can, if you guys are looking to follow us, we hope you follow us. You can find us on Spotify. I think we'll be up on iTunes here shortly. YouTube will be the video version if you want to look at our beautiful faces. And
check that out.
Yeah, you will. But you can listen all there. Also, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a pretty good presence there. Our marketing team does a good job. And I'm not just saying that because she's behind the camera. I promise. But they do a pretty good job keeping up to date. We're going to have updates on there as far as this goes too. Maybe some teasers on what's happening. But give us a follow on there. I guess just to close out, what's one thing as people start to listen that you really hope that they take away?
I hope that after, they listen to us, they get engaged and they continue to follow us, they realize that Mercer Landmark truly is an innovative co-op, right? And that we genuinely care about the grower and we want to make those business partnerships. We're open to new ideas. You never say never. If there's something that the growers want, tell us about it.
Yep.
Give us a chance.
I think that's good. Well, thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Troy.
We got the first episode in.
We did it.
We are now professionals. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Above the Mark.
Be sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify along with YouTube, and we'll see you next time.